I've long thought that those who serve this country in our armed forces deserve better. And there are signs, and there are positive signs with MPs voting, in my view, to protect our veterans in the Overseas Operations Bill. I'm going to go through this, give you the details and what happened in the vote in the second reading of this in Parliament this week. But if you could please start off by giving this video a big thumbs up, click subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future reports. Now, Forces.net reported on the Operations Bill being approved in second reading in Parliament. And their report, they said, the Overseas Operations Bill has been approved by MPs during the second reading. The government say the proposed legislation will ensure service personnel will be protected from vexatious claims and endless investigations with the aim of reducing uncertainty from historical allegations against serving personnel or veterans. Ministers said it seeks to limit false and historical allegations arising from overseas applications by introducing a statutory presumption against prosecution, making it exceptional for personnel to be prosecuted 5 years or more after an incident. When coming to a prosecution decision, an independent prosecutor must weigh up the adverse impact of overseas operations on service personnel, and when there has been previous investigation and no new compelling evidence, the public interest in cases coming to a timely conclusion. And I'll just give you one example of why this is so important in my view. Lucy Fisher, of the defence editor of The Times, tweeting this out recently. Decorated army veteran finally cleared over death of young Iraqi man following 8 probes during a 17-year ordeal. Latest investigation finds no evidence against Major Robert Campbell, but instead clear evidence of collusion and possible conspiracy by Iraqi civilians. Major Campbell told me the witch hunt drove him to 2 suicide attempts in 2012 and to contemplate taking his life again in 2016. And I'll repeat it again. Decorated army veteran finally cleared over death of young Iraqi man following 8 probes over 17 years. He said of the ordeal, "It finished me, it finished my career." He has faced probes over 17 years from the Royal Military Police twice, Army Prosecuting Authority, Aitken Report Inquiry, Iraq Historic Allegations Team, Director of Service Prosecutions, Independent Prosecutor, and Iraq Fatalities Investigations Judicial Inquiry. This is what the Overseas Operations Bill is looking at. Horrendous cases like this, stopping this, ex-service personnel being hounded for years and years. Johnny Mercer, who has served in the British Army and appointed by the government as the Minister for Defence and Veterans in the Ministry of Defence and Veterans Affairs in the Cabinet Office, wrote in the Telegraph about the Overseas Operations Bill. Its purpose is to break the vicious cycle of claims and repeated investigations driven by pernicious practitioners. Mercer said that when I stand up at the dispatch box on Wednesday, he'd be thinking about all those brave service personnel who did their duty defending our nation but found themselves subject to the stresses and strains of late and repeated allegations and claims. Johnny Mercer said, "I got into politics to end this injustice and to land a decisive blow against the scourge of lawfare, which is increasingly becoming the way of modern conflict." As I'll be saying to my colleagues in the House, Johnny Mercer laid out, we have the chance to change things for the better. This bill, alongside our work to enhance and expedite investigations, is just one part of the government's wider fight back against lawfare. But it is critical. Veterans will be watching. We must not let them down. Another Conservative MP, Robert Courts, said it was a historic day and he looked forward to voting for the landmark Overseas Operations Bill, an end of repeated investigations and vexatious claims to have plagued veterans. It's been an honour, he said, to help campaign for this, and a huge credit to Johnny Mercer and team for making it happen. So, in the second reading of the Overseas Operations, Service Personnel and Veterans Bill, there were 331 votes for it and 77 against. Those who voted in favour, 326 Conservative MPs and 7 DUP. And look who's against. 45 SNP MPs, 3 Plaid Cymru MPs, 9 Lib Dems and 18 Labour. Now, the Labour whip on this bill on this vote was to abstain. And instead you had 18 Labour MPs break the Labour whip to vote against the Overseas Operations Bill. And just look at the names. Jeremy Corbyn, Diane Abbott, Rebecca Long-Bailey, John McDonnell. 4 of those 18, they've gone from almost running the country to being backbench rebels even within the Labour Party. The Conservative Party immediately hit out after the vote, saying same old Labour just refused to back Britain's armed forces in Parliament. Our Overseas Operations Bill will protect veterans from re-investigations and vexatious claims while ensuring victims always have access to justice. We've taken action to support them. Conservative MP Leo Doherty highlighted the vote, saying last night's successful passing of the Overseas Operations Bill in the House of Commons. This bill will protect veterans from re-investigations and vexatious claims while ensuring victims always have access to justice. Jeremy Corbyn, of course, one of those who voted against, said that the Overseas Operations Bill violates essential rule of law principles, including with regards to the absolute prohibition of torture. It also fails, Corbyn argued, to protect the safety, well-being and rights of our military personnel. For these reasons, he voted against. Diane Abbott, of course, another who voted against, said Overseas Operations Bill effectively decriminalises torture, violates essential rule of law principles and defies international human rights laws. She also pointed out that 3 Labour MPs sacked for voting against it, but she said that they voted absolutely in line with Labour values. And I said Labour in an absolute mess on this, absolute chaos, with 3 junior shadow ministers who joined with Corbyn in voting against the Overseas Operations Bill. Sources close to the party's leadership apparently saying that the 3 MPs were warned in advance that they could not remain in their posts. And this is Nadia Whitmore, Beth Winter and Olivia Blake defied the whip and didn't abstain on this. But there you have it. I think an important bill. One, we need to do far better by those who serve this country. I think this is a step in the right direction. I think Johnny Mercer leading the charge on this is doing a good job. It's one, of course, I'm going to stay on top of and bring you the very latest on. But I thought it's worth highlighting what's been going on this. And as ever, you can rely on the Westminster channel to keep you updated on this issue. If you found this report informative and helpful, please click the thumbs up button, click subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future reports. Thanks for watching.